Okay, I think we'll get started. So today we're going to be talking about utilizing the camera that you can hook directly up to the LuckFox. So as you might know, the LuckFox is really designed for image capturing, and you can even add some image recognition software and do some AI on these LuckFox devices. So that's one of the key things that LuckFox developed these Pico Maxes for. But the camera must be connected directly to the board, and at least as of today, the only way to access the camera is through the Buildroot profile rather than the Ubuntu profile. So we know that we can boot up either as Ubuntu, which we've been doing in this whole series, or you can boot into the Buildroot directory or the Buildroot system. So it would be nice if we could utilize the camera from the Ubuntu side of things. And we did another video on this, or we did another video on using a camera through the USB camera, but it'd be nice if we could use the actual LuckFox camera. Well, that turns out to be very difficult, but what we're going to do is sort of hack our way a little bit. We're going to have one LuckFox, a host LuckFox, and a target LuckFox, and we're going to control the target LuckFox with the host. Our host will be running Ubuntu, our target will be running Buildroot. You can't run both of these at the same time. In the Buildroot system, we'll access the camera and send a still image to the host computer, and then we'll send that to our main computer just to see what the image looks like. Now, there's a couple of things that are a bit unelegant about this. The camera is designed to just turn on right away. So once you hook the camera in, it will recognize it, and then it modifies the start sequence so that the camera just starts streaming. And so we have to overcome a challenge of turning that off, which is a little more difficult than it seems, but that's taken care of now in the program that we'll be talking about. And then the robustness of the camera call, at least from what I've been able to figure out, is not so great. So basically, to perform everything we need to do, we have to reboot the system each time we make a camera call. So that's certainly unelegant. But there are situations where we may want to just take an image, one image, or maybe take an image, we'll be only able to take images every 30 seconds or so with this method, because we have to reboot in between. But you might be in a situation where this will work fine. And in my case, what I'm heading towards in the laboratory is I'd like to build a little instrument, very inexpensive instrument that will measure the contact angle for wetting experiments, where you put a droplet on a surface and you see how the droplet of fluid wets the surface. And so all I'm going to need is one image, and then analyze that image for contact angle. So that's an example where this could be useful. So as I mentioned, we'll be controlling a target with the host, and we know that we can enter into the LuckFox in three ways: one through the USB port, one through the SSH, and then one through UART. And so we're going to actually need to do UART from the host LuckFox to the target LuckFox. So we'll UART into that, and then we need to hack this camera stream. So as I mentioned, the stream will be going, and we'll have to kill that process, and then we'll acquire a picture. So that's kind of the goal. The setup is like this. So we're going to be using, in our case, UART 3, the 3 bus. You could use the 1 bus or the 3 bus. The number 2 bus over here, that is the bus that's used for actually logging into the UART. So we're going to do the transmission to the receiving pin 19 to pin 2, and then pin 20 to pin 1. And that'll be a serial login, and then this will run the camera. The target again is running the Buildroot, and the host is running Ubuntu. Again, the downside is we have to reboot the computer, and we need to handle this stop streaming, and we're going to need 2 LuckFoxes, not just one. Some references. This, unlike the other labs, this is, I'm really kind of assuming you've had some experience now. This is lab number 15, so you had some experience with the LuckFox. If you're coming to us new, just to this, and you haven't gone through the series, the LuckFox tutorial is very, very good. It's starting to get a little bit, well, there are some changes that we have to make, so, but by and large, that's very good. Fusion Automate has a great YouTube channel that will talk about flashing the Buildroot onto the NAND chip on the LuckFox, flashing Ubuntu onto the SD card, and talk about the camera. So he goes through how you stream the camera, so the main application of that camera. So that would be great to check out those 3 videos there from the Fusion Automate channel. So just Google LuckFox Pico Pro Max Fusion Automate, and you'll find them. Then our Lab 1 talks a little bit about setting things up with Python. We're not going to actually need much. We're going to just need PySerial, and then we're going to have to install the Linux utility FFmpeg in order to handle the images. And then finally, I put together some lab notes. We're not going to go through those step by step, but I'll show you where the PDF file is. And that goes through a lot of the thought process that went in to trying to get this to work the way you see it to work. We are going to build the program, so there'll be a main program and then there'll be a bunch of helper programs, and so we'll go through each of those. We're not going to talk too much about the actual code. Had a lot of help from Gemini as we worked back and forth on trying to get this to go. So I'm only say very brief things about the files, but they'll be there for you to look at and to modify as you see fit. We've set this up now, so again, there's these multiple files, so it should be easy to figure out the one you need to work with and then make the changes there rather than having to dig through one enormous program. Okay, so first thing we'll do is we'll go look at the setup with the LuckFoxes, then we'll get on to getting into the terminal and getting the programs all going. All right, so we'll go do that. So first thing, let's just take a quick look at our setup here. So this is the host computer. This has an SD card in it. On that SD card, Ubuntu is running, so it boots into Ubuntu. I don't have it on I'm just trying out this breakout board, which is kind of nice. I don't have it on another breadboard like I usually do, but this works fine. We have 3 pins coming out. One is ground. We have to, of course, have a common ground, so we connect the 2 grounds. In principle, they should be the same because they're ultimately plugged into the wall, but I found that it's important to connect these even as is. And then we have we're crisscrossing the transmission pins from this to this LuckFox. A little harder to see here, but there it is. I'll move the camera out of the way. Try to focus this. And we can see these wires coming in. You can disregard these yellow wires. I'm keeping those hooked up. They're hooked up to the OLED here that we use often, but we won't be using it for this setup. And then finally, here is the special camera that you need to buy from, well, WaveShare sells it. I think there's other places you can get it, but comes special for the LuckFox. So, and my understanding is that the drivers and the way you talk to it, I don't completely know exactly, but I think has some idiosyncratic character to it. So it's not just any old camera. So that's the setup. Very simple from a hardware perspective, but very interesting. One thing that you'll notice right off the bat, and one thing that LuckFox definitely tries to sell, is as soon as you hook this guy up, then it just basically works. And so you can see some videos, a couple of different videos out there. The one from Fusion Automate that I mentioned, but others talking about the use of the camera there. Well, we want to use it in a different way, so let's see how we do that. So we'll switch here now to getting what we need. So we'll just go to Google and let's find our page. Same page we've been working with here if you've been following along. Otherwise, you can just follow me here. So LuckFox, and we'll go all the way down to the bottom. And actually a lot to do here. All these files are what we need. And you can get them all in a zip, except for the PDF. This is all the Python files are in the zip. These are all Python files. We're reading them off of Google Drive, and Google gets upset apparently if you have PY files in there. So these are Python files, but they're just as text files right now. And then the lab notes. So let's just start with the lab notes here. And I tried to document as best I could everything that Gemini and I did here to get this working. So you're welcome to take a look at this and kind of get a better overview of the ins and outs of what we did here. Talks a little bit more about the setup. And if you're a person who likes to read things as well as see things, I think this could be very helpful to you. I'm not going to step through it word by word, and it really isn't written so much as a lab manual. It's more of a lab notes. Okay. Well, let's go ahead now and we'll open a terminal. And I'm here on my LuckFox, and I've created a new directory, a fresh directory called My Camera. So we'll just work out of this. And so I'll just do ls here. And we see there's nothing in this directory at this point. So we need to start to build these. So the first thing I'm going to go is sudo nano config. And these have to be, at least these support files, you should if you don't want to fish through and refactor them, you'll want to spell everything exactly like this. So config.py, and we'll get into the text editor. And now we'll go here and we'll grab this, and we'll be careful here now to just grab what we need. And I will talk a little bit about this config file. This is just a file that holds some of our configuration data. So we'll go back to here and hit paste. And just a couple of things. The serial port here is S3, and that's because I'm using, this is on LuckFox A. So LuckFox A, that's referring to the host, and B is always referring to the target. We're using UART 3. And so that's this. If you had set yours up so you're UART 1, then I believe it'll be S1, but you'd have to check that. And then, very important, the baud rate at which it communicates is standard 115/200. Then I mentioned that we have to reboot, and so we have to let the LuckFox reboot. I used my stopwatch and I timed. For my LuckFox, it takes about 24 seconds. So I put 30 seconds in here. If down the line you have some trouble, then this is what you would need to change. Here are the logins. So we send automatically log in. We won't show this, but if you were to try to log in once the camera's hooked up through PuTTY or some other terminal program where you're telnetting in through the serial port, you would just get a constant spewing of information from the camera. So the camera is just going and going and going, and if you try to do anything, it just gets wiped out by that spew of information. So we have to there was nothing I couldn't ever copy and paste fast enough or anything to get into the LuckFox itself, the LuckFox B, the target. So that's what this is doing. So we know that to get into the Buildroot, the password is root, and the username is root. You go in as a root user, and the password is LuckFox. Okay, so I think that's all that I really wanted to say here. I imagine this is standard, maybe as time goes on, but this is May of 2025. The current LuckFoxes that that I have, and this is coming from the information on the tutorial site. The camera device is Video 1.5. The resolution is not super, 240 by 135, and it's in a RAW format. So everything is just raw, as often is the case to kind of speed the acquisition of the images. So this is just information for the program to use to get the right behavior. Here is an important thing. This is what needs to be done right away, is to kill this camera utility. So this is what's doing the streaming, this and a number of other support files, but this runs right away when it boots up. So it just launches into this and then just streams the camera. So the first job of the program will be to kill that, so that that's not happening, so that the camera then can be used for our picture. This you could change if you want. This is going to just make a directory called captured images, and it's going to give us these final images. There'll be a timestamp on them, so you won't overwrite them, and then there'll be a log report. This will be kind of a spewing of everything that's happened on the serial port. So not necessarily useful, but it'll be there. Okay, so that's configuration. So it looks like we have that. So I'm going to Control X and Y and go out here, and I'll ls here, and we've got config.py. So you don't have to listen to me go through all of this or watch me go through all this. I'm going to now do this for the rest of these. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to do these fresh to make sure everything up here is exactly as it should be. So I'll pause the video now, and then I will come back after these are all done and Python files on our LuckFox. Okay, so I've got them all there. So let's go ahead and do ls here. And so we have all the files we need. Hopefully I spelled them right. We'll soon find out. Let me just kind of go through these. We talked about the config file. The serial, well, let me talk about reboot first. This is simply a short script to reboot the target. So always when this is called, it will reboot the target. Then these ops scripts are to pull out information. So for example, ultimately we need to pass the file over SSH, and so one of the things that needs to be determined is the dynamic IP assignment to the Buildroot. You could go in and you could give it a static IP, but I think it's important, for my purposes anyway, while I have a static IP on my Ubuntu setups, the Buildroot is fine and maybe desirable to have a dynamic IP assigned. So this will automatically find that. It gets other information about things. So that's what's done with these ops. And then finally, the last one here, this is the main program. This will actually run and acquire an image. So let's go ahead and give that a shot. I'm going to angle this towards me. Okay, set now. So I will try to run this. Hopefully no errors. If there is, then I'll just pause the video and try to figure out that error and get it going. So everything should work now. If I go, one thing that I need to mention. And I will just kind of type this in, but we would need, whoops. I won't actually install this because I have this already installed, but we need pip install PySerial. So if you've been following along in the series, you'll have that installed. And then we need FFmpeg, which you may or may not have that installed. On this particular LuckFox, I didn't have it installed, so we would go sudo apt install FFmpeg and install that, and it should install pretty readily. So glad I remembered to say that. That is necessary. The serial is necessary just to use the serial port, and then FFmpeg is necessary to convert the raw image into a JPEG, which is what we ultimately want to have come over to the host. So remember, the image will be taken on the target, and then it will be sent to the host. And hopefully that now happens. So we'll give that a go. So sudo python 3. And what should happen is it'll go through some stuff. You'll see some of the serial port information, and then it should stop on the login to the target. The first login is done. The process is killed, and so let's actually see. And in fact, let me notice here. This process, I'd already done this. This is blinking kind of in a regular pattern. That means that it's just in its normal rest. Nothing's really going on. What we'll see here is that will go off. It'll reboot, so it'll be flashing very quickly. And then it'll go into kind of a superposition of this slow beat and then a bunch of activity. That's the streaming camera. So let's see if we see that happen. Then it'll then the program will log in. It'll turn that off. We'll start to see it beat kind of just like this. It'll ask me for, when it's ready to send the file, it'll take the photo. It'll ask me for the password to the target, which is root, or the login is root, and then LuckFox. So let's see if that happens. Oh my goodness. Let's see. So. Oh, no, I see it right away here. I screwed up. Okay, there we go. So let's try this. So I'm going to recheck all my spelling here. I'm going to pause and restart. Okay, I had not put the B in my file name, so hopefully this will work now. Okay, looks like it's going. So now it's waiting for 30 seconds. Let's get an eye on this. See, notice this is now rebooting. So it went dark. Now it's rebooting. And it's still rebooting, I think. Sometimes it's hard to tell the difference between the streaming and the reboot. Now it's streaming. So notice this erratic pattern. So the password here is LuckFox. And image capture succeed. So this should now have, we should, if we do ls here, we should get a captured image. So cd captured. So notice here, this is, I had everything. So I had LuckFox file. It should have been -b file. So hopefully you didn't, I'm sure you copied it correctly. But that's the importance of having the correct name. Captured images, and then ls here, and we see the raw image in its raw form has been transferred over, and the JPEG. So we have final image, and then we have this stamp, and that will be unique, and it will go with the raw. So the same with the raw. So if we were to run this again, we'll get another image. So let's just go ahead and try that. So notice it's blinking now. We're gonna see that it reboots. Unfortunately, it's the inelegant way. And if you could figure out a way to do this without doing that, that would be great. If you could share that. Where are we at? Here we go. So let's give that a try. It should go dark. Okay, it went dark, and it's going to reboot. So now we can see it rebooting there. Notice here on this LuckFox, this is just kind of laying in wait, not doing too much processing. So we just see the normal heartbeat of it. Going through, again, password LuckFox. And should be done. So, oh, and notice I should have said this last time. We can see now it's just got this normal heart rate, so it's no longer streaming. The process of streaming the camera has been killed. And so now we have 2 of these. So let's actually see if they actually made it across in correct form. So let me try to go through and so I'm on my main machine now. So you might be on your Windows machine in the terminal, or you can, this is another Linux machine. So we're in so I'm in Home, Projects, My Camera, Captured, Images, and then let's make sure, so notice this number is different than this number. This is one I had practiced on earlier. So I'll just take this one. I'm going to try to copy this. Oops, I guess I can't do that. I gotta go. Okay, so that should be the first file or either first or second file we did. So this should dump this in my downloads. So this is just SCPing over. Looks like it worked, but let's give it a look. So I will go to my downloads. Probably the last one. And was that it? Yep. So let's see, 596663. We'll go back to our terminal, 596663. So that's the one. And there it is. Very small, right? Because let's see if I can go, because the resolution is not that great, but there's a picture of my head. It's upside down just because of the way the camera ribbon. So this would be right side up for the camera. That's just the camera's upside down. All right, so kind of a lot to this, but it does allow us then to utilize that camera in a way it really wasn't intended. Admittedly, this is not super elegant, but it works. And again, for my purposes, for maybe eventually building an instrument, yes, it's 2 LuckFoxes, or you can actually control, there's no reason the lead Python programs need to run on a LuckFox. They'd have to be adjusted if you used a Raspberry Pi or I've got a little UART device that I can just plug in to the computer. So there are ways that you could use a different host machine. I'd like to build a little device that will take an image and then measure the contact angle of a wetting drop on a surface. So hopefully that'll come down the line for the lab and for my classes that I want to do. All right, well, that's it. Hopefully you found this valuable.